And the Ophiuchus journey continues. Okay, lovely. So I've carried on putting these videos here in the Ophiuchus playlist now, okay? Lovely, lovely, lovely. So let's talk about types of astrology, guys. Okay, let's start with a fun one, yeah? So like love astrology, yeah? Your matchmakers, your love entrepreneurs. What does this do for you, yeah? Well, they talk about compatibility between the signs. Really, yeah, whether you're looking for love or not, yeah, this is a good place to start. Why is that, yeah? Because you start to understand how the various elements are working together. And you see in every element, okay, all right, and every for all the signs, okay, so when we talk about all the elements, there's fixed, there's cardinal, and there's mutable, yeah, okay. You see how the behaviors, yeah, we're talking about tarot cards being the nature. Well, you see like this, yeah, when you start looking at astrology, it's like this as well, yeah, with the aspects, you know, they explain the behaviors, yeah, okay. The more likely behaviors. And how do we know this, yeah? Well, because here we're starting to understand time. We're starting to understand the time, how to tell the time here. Okay, so for example, all right, Scorpio, it a fixed water sign. Water rule the emotions, yeah? So you got a fixed sign now. Now you think of Scorpio, yeah, it's a fixed water. It will thing like the night, yeah? It will thing like the lakes, yeah? It will the fixed water is still, yeah? It's still, yeah? You see, you know, like this, yeah? And then you think about the time of year that the scorpionic energy, yeah, is around. It's this time of year, isn't it? Yeah, it's coming up soon. Is it not quite dark and still and fixed? You see what I mean, yeah? I'm so sorry, yeah? Oh my goodness, it's tickling my throat, yeah? So it's like this, all right? So you start to understand, you want to start understanding the behaviors, yeah? Rather than, yeah, we'll talk about the nature, yeah? The nature of the tarot. If you want to start learning to read tarot as well, you want to understand how to start reading it, let us say, yeah, be cautious. Be cautious. I mean, how do I feel about teaching you the tarot, yeah? How do I really feel about teaching you it? I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you, yeah, be cautious. Okay, be cautious. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. But yeah, I mean, when you start to read these things, you really, tarot readers understand astrology, all right? They understand that because, yeah, there's elements, you know, there's the natures, the human nature and the behaviors of the elements, yeah. So understanding astrology a very, very good start, yeah, for you on all of these things, yeah, I'm talking about. Okay, all the types of astrology, yeah. Learn something like compatibility first. Okay, all right, you learn something like compatibility, you understand the aspects, you understand the planets, you understand the behaviors, yeah, within them elements and aspects. Yeah, so love compatibility, yeah, for my love entrepreneurs out there, you know. Yeah, and people do really, yeah, they look for their soulmate like this. They do. They do. Well, I'll tell you why they do this, yeah. Because they understand, yeah, they, they, their horoscope. They feel like they understand their horoscope so well to the point, yeah, that they're gonna find someone else, yeah, that's gonna be compatible with them that understands this as well. And these people really do exist, yeah, and they absolutely find each other. Yeah. so yeah, that's what that's all about, yeah. So yeah, there's the love astrology, yeah. Should we talk a bit about, alright, so we're talking about Western kind of astrology now, yeah. The difference between the Western and the Eastern astrology. You want to talk about what is the difference here? Should you follow? Let's talk about the natal chart now, yeah. Natal chart astrology. So we've got our horoscope here. We've got our compatibilities, yeah. Compatibilities between elements, behaviors, yeah, the signs. When we start looking at stuff like the natal chart, now, yeah, we really getting a look at astronomy, yeah. We starting to study planets, yeah. And then you start to understand the planets in your own house. And this is where you're starting to really gauge a time, yeah. Okay, we'll go more into that. The next one has got to be, alright, so now, yeah, the difference, alright, so you're looking at a Vedic chart now, yeah. It's Eastern astrology, you're looking at a Vedic chart. What's really the difference, yeah? Well, Vedic chart, yeah, the houses, there are their house, everything done in the house before Western astrology. So your natal chart looks different here, you see. I mean, what's the right thing to do, Lorna? Should you follow Western astrology if you live in the West and Eastern astrology if you live in the East? Not necessarily. When we get into Vedic, when we get into Vedic astrology now, we look at a little bit more, yeah, than just the Eastern natal chart, yeah. We start to study things quite specifically like stars, yeah. Stars and planets start to cross over these kind of stars, and yeah, we even start to recognize things that have happened in history, yeah. You know, say history repeating itself. Well, we start to notice, yeah, changes in the atmosphere, okay. So it's not necessarily you follow Western astrology if you live in the West and you follow Eastern astrology if you live in the East. It really depends what you're looking for, what you're using it for. Okay, I've looked into both of these things. I mean, when it comes to, all right, okay, so the reason as well, yeah, why it's worth looking at Vedic astrology, so we're talking about events, yeah. Whether you're looking into the past, to look into the future, yeah, or you just want to look into the future. Some people do better like this. This is when we see sidereal astrology. Sidereal astrology is looking at the night sky. There is movement up there every day. There is forecasts every day, every week, every month. And yes, we're not only understanding movement and a change in the atmosphere like this, but in ourselves and what we can do, how we can strategize. We also start to look at here, okay, so sidereal astrology. Well, we start to look at setting intentions. We start to look at new moons. We start to look at full moons. Yeah. All right. Other types of astrology now. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of that, if you are into, speaking of history repeating itself and things of the sort, if you are into politics, there is astrology for that too. There is astrology for that too. So elections, yeah. Yeah, there's astrology based on elections as well. Do these people believe in astrology, Lorna? Yeah, a lot of them do. A lot of them do. And yes, you know, people that realize that, yeah, they make choices, political choices, yeah, based upon the astrology, the planetary lineup, the charts, you know, they start looking into the history, and yes, this absolutely exists. This absolutely exists, all right. It's lovely. Okay, so if you're into that, all right, there is the electoral kind of astrology, and then we have other charts. Yeah, so we have things like looking at, some of these are combined. You see, you can combine them. Yeah, I can make them work for you. um this is it. You know when they say you don't have the control over the kind of nature, yeah. This kind of, you have the management of yourself, yeah. That really is all you have, yeah. Management of yourself, honestly, yeah. Honestly. So you see how this helps people to cope, yeah. It's not just get as much as I can, it's people, they learn how to really cope from events, yeah, from this kind of thing. We have stuff like medical astrology as well. So medical astrology, we start looking into, when we start getting into things like medical astrology and stuff, this is really when it's good to look at other charts. You start looking at other charts, like you start looking at things like clocks, yeah. Thing like the Chinese, yeah, medicine, and you start looking at these kind of things, yeah. But there's astrology for this too. Yes, some of these, speaking of new moons and full moons, some of these are combined into these charts as well. And they tell you, you know what, this is the best time, yeah, to take an operation or not. And different planets, yeah, they start affecting different organs, yeah. Yes, and so as well, then you can combine these with now other practices. We're going into healing, yeah, aromatherapies, crystal healings, all these kinds of things here, all right. They start coming into play. A Chinese medicine, all these kind of things here, yeah. So you're studying clocks here, yeah, but especially that of the body clock. And here really you start to gauge, yeah, and understand just how effective the moon actually is. It pulls in and out of it pulls the tides in and out. What you're made of, water. So yeah, it absolutely does. It does absolutely affect the human emotions. You see, yeah, you see. So nobody need you see, the science really work with the spirituality. You understand, yeah? You understand? This is what is factual, The moon affects the tides. You are mostly made of water. It affects you too. Okay. All right. Next. What other astrologies are there, Luna? And then, yeah, again, yeah, something that's combined, yeah, into all these things. We start looking at degrees. We start analyzing degrees and things like that. Like what degree is this planet? And a thing like numerology come into play. Yeah. You start to notice, yeah. You start to notice things like the effects of the degrees, and you start to notice the effects of the things like eclipses. Yeah. Eclipses and other big events, yeah. Big events. What big events, yeah? Like super moons. You start to notice as well like planetary build-ups. And all right, so when we're talking about sidereal astrology and constellations, yeah, you also start to notice, okay, so like loads of planets, yeah. For example, all right, so let's just be real, innit? When I went through the awakening process, a lot of planets, okay, were lining up in very, very specific houses. Yeah, there was a particular house in my natal chart, okay, that was jam-packed, yeah, full of planets. And the awakening process began. You see, it's my own personal It's my own personal kind of thing, yeah, so I don't want to go too much into it, yeah. But one very significant house in my astrological chart was jam-packed full of planets. There was a super moon happening. Boom! Yeah? The hatching process began. The hatching process began, and I found out that I know I'm not the only one. Yeah, that started happening. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Wolves, witches, and vampires. Okay, you gonna learn. So, where the next place we can take it to, yeah? There's one more thing I was gonna say to you. So, events, yeah, specific events that are happening, yeah, that affect you personally and your natal chart. There was something else I was gonna say about that. There was. I'm really hearing that, yeah. So I was hearing music in my head. There was something else I was gonna say about it. That might be enough. That might be enough, you know. You know, this is why we see forecasts on celestial events for the month of, yeah, October, yeah. These kind of reports exist. But I mean, as I say, with any of these things you're looking at, yeah, astrological forecasts, these kind of reporters, yeah, a lot like the news, yeah, these ones exist too. So, you know, and you know, they are also trying to find a way, you know. So just be mindful of that, okay? Especially when, you know, kind of especially when we kind of start getting into opinions and predictions. Yeah, just be mindful of that, yeah? You can take it, tailor it, you know, to how it's going to help you, you know, and hopefully positively, isn't it? I mean, is there anything else to say about the astrology? Yeah. Degrees, yeah, on this bit. Degrees and things like this. I think that'll do, yeah, for the minute, to be honest with you. It's really niggling at me, yeah? There's one more thing. One more thing. Body clocks and spiritual aids and tools. Yeah, I'm really seeing stuff like rituals. Yeah. Well, guys, look, this is another way people go through. Yeah, I've got to say go through. Yeah, like go through, because they go through purification processes. The planets. I was speaking about awakening. Yeah, someone's gonna say. Yeah, my goodness. The planets being jam packed here, and so they go, oh, okay, yeah. And now, yeah, you're understanding things like cusps, ascendants, descendants, north nodes, south nodes. Yeah, you're starting to create larger goals over larger time spans. And that is the various types of astrology, guys. Okay? It's the various types of astrology yes, you know, they all do have, yeah, very, very specific names to them as well. But as I say, I mean, a lot of them, if you just start studying charts and clocks and the night sky and you know, the natal chart, you just, you know, you're going to notice a lot of these things combined. You're going to notice this. Okay? Alright? So that's my video on the types of astrology.